In this problem, we are naming segments, rays, and lines. It is asking us to classify each figure as a line, ray, or line segment, then show how to write it. Before we answer our question, let's go over some facts. In this example, the straight path has two endpoints, U and T. We can call it line segment UT and write it as UT with a straight line over the top. In this example, the arrows tell us that the straight path goes on forever in both directions. We can call it line RS because it has R and S as a point, and write it as RS with a line with an arrow going in both directions. In this example, the straight path has an endpoint at P here and goes on forever in one direction. We call it ray PQ, and we write it as P with a Q and an arrow on the top in one direction going from P to Q because there's an endpoint at P and Q goes on forever. Notice that we have to write it as the endpoint P first and then Q. We cannot write it any other way. So we have our segment first, then our line, and finally our ray. Back to our question and answer it. In this one we have the endpoints U and T. So remember, that's our line segment, and we write it as UT with a straight line over the top. In the next figure, we have R and S with the endpoints going on forever. So remember, that's our line, and we write it as RS with arrows going in both directions. And our last one, we have endpoint P and Q, which goes on forever in one direction. That's our ray. Remember, we write it as P first and then Q with an arrow going from P to Q.